Hi everyone, I am Salman Amir and welcome to the quick tutorial on Blender Render Assistant. This tool is specially designed for rendering Blender projects and it can render multiple projects at same time. Yes, and this tool is specially designed for 3D render and any Blender users can use this. And in this video I will walk through every features of this Blender Render Assistant, and this tool is also available for Mac, Linux and Windows, and it's a Python based script, and Windows users can get an exe file to use it. So let's dive in. This is my Patreon page. You can visit by patreon.com/fantisal and you can download this tool here, as you can see, and you will get this zip file. There will be two files, like for Mac and Windows. Linux, the user can use the Windows files also. After downloading, open the folder. So as you can see, we have this Windows and Mac OS. So I'm on Windows, so I'll be using that one. So for the Windows user, they will get this exe file, so they don't need to run this bat file or anything, or you can just click on this launch.bat and will check the dependencies, and if the dependencies are not present, and it will install it, and if present, all checks, and then it will launch the assistant. First I will just change the theme here by clicking this theme button, and if you hover over, you can see the tooltip here, change theme, support me, preview render one frame to check integrity. So you can just render one frame to check if the render is working, or you can just check the preview of the that how it's looking, and you can just stop the rendering when you start rendering, then you can stop it in between. And I will use this. So we have just 7 themes and 1 random, and each time the render will change the colors like this, as you can see, and we have here a status bar or log bar, as you can see. So if I scrub through, as you can see, we have a random color. So I'll be using this one, or just to neon. So, and first of all, we have this button to locate the Blender exe file. I'm assuming that you downloaded the blender.com/download, so you can just go to the downloads of the Blender and you can download any version you want. And this render assistant will work on from 2.8 to, like, I'm currently on 4.2.2 right now. So I will just locate my exe file. I'm using the Blender from the Steam. Let me show you where is the Steam and Steam apps, common, Blender. So I will use this. The normal user, when you download from the Blender official website, you will get these folder or this setup like this. You can just select this blender.exe and click open. So as you can see, the path of the Blender exe. Now your render files. So you can select your projects here by just clicking here, and you can select your project. I'll be using which one. I'll just using this Alien Fractal version 2. Okay. So now my one blend file is added. So as you can see, the output path is also selected at the same location file, as you can see, and renders. So if I'm going to change it, so I can change it, but I will leave as it is. So as you can see, CG renders, and there is hardware setting also. It will show you the CPU, 12 cores and 20 threads I have, and your GPU information also. And you can just select auto detect or CPU and GPU, force it on CPU only or GPU only. I'm selecting the GPU only. to render using my GPU only. And we have here the enable alpha transparency, and it will render as PNG sequence, transparency option enabled. So it will render as a alpha. And the high quality mode will check if they can render in 16-bit per channel, but if not and unchecked, it will render at 8-bit per channel. And we have also the frame range from 0 to 250. If you check the use project setting, then it will use the project setting of this blend file. And output format is also PNG, JPEG, TIFF or OpenEXR as per desired. So if I'm going to open that project file, as you can see, Alien Fractal version 2. So we have the setting from frame start from 1 to 100. So these are the project setting. And also I will recommend you to, before pack your all resources, to pack it, like click and save it. But I am doing the automatically pack resources. If I unchecked it, and as you can see, before rendering or saving your putting into the render assistant, I will recommend you to pack resources. And if you don't do this process, then it will render as fine, but I will recommend you to avoid any errors, or if you are using third-party add-ons or some things like plugins or extensions, so like for Botanic, etc. So I'm going to automatically for now, and you see the render setting 20 20 by 10 20 and 24 frame per second and frame range, as you can see. And if I go to my render assistant and just check the one frame, and you don't need to open your Blender application, you can just launch the Blender render assistant and put your project files here, and it will render and start rendering. So I will go to also the folder here, for the output folder here, open a new tab, and we have here renders preview, and the preview will be placed here. Now the preview is created. If I double click on this, and as you can see, and if I check the Blender file also, and if I switch to render mode to check, and let's check this file also, minimize it, and as you can see, we have one frame generated. The scene is pretty dense, so that's why it's taking the time generating a preview. So now we have got the idea of how this is working. So I will now close the Blender project and stay on this render file and go to the assistant. Now I can just click on start rendering, and it will start rendering and use the project setting. And if I click on this, the value of the frame range is not changing, because we are using the project setting of this blend file. So in order to use the custom range of the project file, I will just uncheck this one and increase it or decrease it, or I just from the project frame range from 1 to 100 as per this, but I will change to from 1 to 2, just the frame range 1 and 2. So if I click on the start rendering button, starting rendering processing fractal. Okay, so now the rendering is done, but it says it shows the two dialog boxes, the rendering complete successfully, and also another error log, as you can see. But you can just ignore this one because I'm using the Steam version. Let me show you what I mean by the Steam version. I'm using Blender from this because it's very convenient here, and every time new update comes and it will automatically updates. So that's why I'm using this Steam version also. So that's why. And the error because the scripts, some scripts are not located properly in the Steam version, etc, etc. But you can just ignore it because it doesn't matter, because our 2 frames is rendered successfully. And if I check this one, as you can see, this is my 1 frame, and if I go to second one, as you can see, it's my 1 and 2, and it will render your complex project files using this render assistant. I'm recommended you close all the files or any unnecessary application and run this to get the maximum and fast rendering results. Or otherwise you can just start rendering and you can do whatever you want, watch YouTube and working on another Blender project. So that's how this assistant is working. The window user can use this exe file, but they will need to install the dependencies first. So in order to first launch, you will first to install these dependencies, and it will pop up these options that system-wide admin required or user only. So I'm using the admin, the system-wide admin option. So 1 and click, and now it's installing the packages, necessary packages, and the package is installed. So now I can just press any key and the dependencies are installed, and I can just use this launch bat and it will check the dependencies and launch the assistant as before you see. Or the exe file, just directly double click on this one and it will run. The project is required some dependencies and file. The Python must install first and then the dependencies. After installing the Python, I will recommend you to install the latest version of the Python. You can just go to the python.com or python.org to go to the download section to download it. And in the version 1.0 you will get these 2 folders from Windows and Mac OS. And Mac OS will just first launch the install dependencies and then launch shell script file to, or you can just right click on the, or you can just go to a terminal and type the Python and space and this BRAssistant.py. Like in the Windows, if I just right click on open in terminal, it will launch with this path, and also going to Python and BRAssistant.py and click, and it will launch the script, as you can see. So that's it for all, and let me know in the comments. And also I have a lot of products here, you can check it here. I have a pro distributor and pro layers that will convert a layer into PNGs in the Photoshop, and trend down rendering engine, and so on.